Hey guys, welcome back to TCG Bros. Tonight we're going to be talking some more about the upcoming Blue Eye support from around the time of Shiny Victories and when the 2016 Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie comes out. So, this is like Gen 3 of my future Blue Eyes build right now. We've been through a couple. The first one was really rough. That was kind of when I was just explaining some of the card effects. So, if you want to read some of the cards I've already kind of discussed, like Blue Eyes Alternative and Sage Knight and Ancient Whitestone and stuff like that, I'll leave a link on this video so you can go watch that so you kind of have an idea about card effects. But some new cards I want to touch on today in this kind of like forward deck profile. Like I said, I've made a lot of improvements like since the beginning of my like keeping track, but today we're going to talk about two new cards in specific, Arkbrave Dragon and Gospel of Revival. So, first off, let's talk about Arkbrave Dragon. I previously did not know about this card until today, but it actually is really, really good in, I think, Red Eyes or Blue Eyes. So, Arkbrave Dragon, whoops. If this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you can banish as many face-up spell and trap cards your opponent controls as possible. This card gains 200 attack and defense for each card banished this way. Once per turn, during the standby phase of the next turn after this card was sent to the graveyard, you can target one level 7 or 8 dragon-type monster in your graveyard except Arkbrave Dragon. Special summon it. That is broken, and another thing I have seen people doing with this is playing Whitehorn. Let me show you something here. Whitehorn Dragon. This combo is like, Whitehorn actually may be a relevant thing to run in the future Blue Eyes deck, just because of some of the things you can do with special summoning dragons from the graveyard. I know it's only level 6, but there are other ways you can get it out of the graveyard. So, anyway, with Whitehorn Dragon, if it's normal or special summoned, you can select 5 spell cards from your opponent's graveyard and remove them from play. And that would be devastating to certain decks, I think, but the only other card that I really want to touch on specifically as far as support we're going to get goes today is Gospel of Revival. It's basically like a normal spell version of Silver's Cry, but improved. But I think that what I may end up doing is going with 2 Gospel and 1 Silver's Cry just to have the versatility of the one quick play, but I'm not quite sure yet. But Gospel of Revival is target one level 7 or 8 dragon-type monster in your graveyard, special summon it. If a dragon-type monster you control, or monsters you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card instead. So, instant save from Regeki and all that stuff. You've already got the Azure Eyes Helmet, which is, I think that combination with Azure Eyes, just if you can get into the Azure Eyes loop, which basically what I mean by that is, the goal, if you do go first, what I always try to do is like get into a Blue Eye Spirit Dragon and just sit on it in like attack position, and then if they try to destroy it or do something, that's when you bounce your Blue Eye Spirit Dragon into an Azure Eyes, and then it puts on like helmet mode and you're basically safe, because the odds of somebody running over 3,000 defense on their first turn is very slim, and it can't be targeted. So something I kind of teched in this deck was I wasn't using, I don't believe the last time I profiled this I was using Instant Fusion, but what the one Norden allows you to do is, one, you can either get into a level 4, which the extra deck is super, super tight on this build, just because there's so many like ranks. There's so many rank 8s, rank 7, level 7 and 8 and 9 and all that stuff, and like especially rank 4. But Queen Dragon Jin and Dark Rebellion you can get into just for like the OTK stuff. But also using the one Instant Fusion, I find it, honestly, most of the time I'm going into Trishula with it, and if you Trish somebody on top of the other stuff you're doing with this deck, normally they just can't come back from it, because what you want to do to get into your Trish is like most of the time what'll happen is like your opponent will attack into one of your dragons and destroy it. Keeper will be in the graveyard. You special summon Keeper, add a normal dragon from your grave to your hand, and then if you have instant fusion in your hand, you use instant, special summon Norden, then special summon one of your level 1 tuners, and then sync her into a Trish, and it normally just kills. Like, it's normally something by that time you really can't, but with this build, you can majority of the time go into anything you want on turn 1. I mean, you can open Felgrand, or you can open a Dark Matter on turn 1, or you can open a Blue-Eyes Spirit Dragon pretty simply on turn 1. And the only reason I have the one Lonely Black Rose here is because sometimes it's kind of the same way, but I mean, oh, excuse me. Sorry, Black Rose actually shouldn't be in here anymore. I was using Max C, so that's going to be demoted to the side deck, and then you would put in one of the Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon. I'm not a big fan of the Blue Eyes Twin Burst Dragon, but if you were to run Max C in this, what I was doing was using instant fusion with Keeper of the Shrine and Max C. So in order to get into Black Rose, I would have like a Max C in a grave, and like I would normal summon something like this, and then I would just have nothing but a level 1 on board tuner, and then go into Norden, and then special summon Max C, and then Black Rose the field, just like with nothing on board. So, but like I said, I think that now that we have Arkbrave and the Gospel of Revival, I think that this support for dragons is really going to like set the stage at this point. I know I've heard some people talk about like the Felgrand Dragon structure deck that's getting like a revamp, and I'm really not a fan of a lot of the stuff coming out in that. And I know there's a card like Mausoleum of the Light or something like that that lets you normal summon another level 1 per turn, but I'm not really a big fan of that. The only thing that this deck really dies to as of right now is that Buster Blader Sport that came out in Breakers of Shadow, because it's really fast, surprisingly, and it utilizes a lot of the same cards. Like, you can play cards of consonants in it, and it can make a lot of broken plays, but what makes it the hardest to beat is that Buster Blader support having their version of Super Poly, because that card, as soon as they get that card on you, you've lost with this deck. And with the exception of like Valor or Breakthrough Skill, the only answer I can think of it is Breakthrough, because it's just very difficult to get around. But like I said, we're not going to get this deck until I would say, I think the release date for Shining Victories is in May of 2016 now, so we're like 5 months out. I guess now we're closer to 4 months out, but we still have a really long while to go. But if you take this deck and test it on DevPro, let me know what you guys think, because I think this is about as solid as I can get it right now. Because, to be honest, if you get a decent draw, I find by the time it is like turn 2 or 3, I have every dragon in the grave and like fully ready to go for like your looping stuff with Gospel of Revival and all that, and it can just be crazy, because by the time you have all your dragons in the graveyard, or like the ones that you need in your hand, like your alternatives and one Blue Eyes, it's normally over. And the question of whether you need Burial and 2 Dragon's Mirror, that's kind of debatable. I mean, yes, since you're running Melody over here, you can run Poly, but I just prefer not to use that much from the hand at once. I prefer to use Dragon's Mirror just because you have so much draw power in this deck anyway, that you're always like, you're gonna draw into either an alternative or Blue Eyes start the game every single time, or a White Spirit or something. But Melody is going to eliminate those as your draw targets, and by the time you use all your other draws, you're more than likely you're gonna be hitting one of these, or like your Regeki or your one-offs. So Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Make sure you let me know what you think of the new Blue Eye Sport. I'm really looking forward to it. I've already bought like everything I can think of ahead of time that I want to like use to build this. And something I guess I'll note just before we end with Dragon Shrine. Your main play with Dragon Shrine, and this is another one of the things is that kind of runs into every once in a while, is you don't want to run that many cards. You can only use one of per turn in this build because it bricks your hand because you draw everything so quick. So that's why I cut Melody down to 2, because I was drawn into 2 Melody and I just wouldn't I couldn't use all of the melodies because I was just jamming my hands. Like, you can use more than one melody per turn, but by the time you use one melody or 2 at most, you've already drawn everything you can. So, but with Dragon Shrine, the thing you have to be careful is you can only use 1 per turn. But the play I normally make with Dragon Shrine is I almost always send a white spirit dragon, because you're going to special summon it from the grave and then nuke something or like banish a back row. But it's almost kind of disputable at this point just because Arkbrave is so good. But the reason you still play white spirit is because of Sage Knight, because what you normally do with Sage Knight besides normal summon it and then synchro with it is you put down Maiden, and then you activate Sage Knight from the hand, and you tribute Maiden, or target it and send it to the graveyard, whatever. And then you special summon a regular Blue Eyes and a Blue Eyes Spirit here, or a White Spirit Dragon, and then banish the back row. And then I normally will like overlay into a Dark Matter or a Felgrand, something like that. But like I said, just let me know what you think of this deck, any improvements you could think of, or discussion about the upcoming support. I'll be happy to respond to any comments. Please ignore the side deck. But like I said, I'll see you guys soon in another video, and thanks for watching.